Jackass, I'd make sure you heard it.
I just started recording, so everybody heard
Oh,
that.
good. Okay.
All right, so hey kids, here we are, Marvel Monday. We're watching all 23 Marvel movies, MCU movies, in the order they were released. Here with me is Amy Goldman, like me, a newbie. Joel Fenster, who was late today.
That's why I'm a jackass.
And Mark Gartner, who has a fabulous background. No socks, but there he is.
No socks.
And joining us again, of course, is Annie King, whose computer died, so she's on her phone. And Nick the Brit is MIA once again. What was the excuse today? Father-in-law's birthday. Okay. So MCU number 10 is Guardians of the Galaxy, also from 2014, like last week's. This is number 4 in phase 2 of the MCU. And of course, we all 5 watched it this week, but this is one I've actually seen before this week.
This is one we've all seen before.
Okay, so you saw this one too. All right, so we'll get to that. So we start, as always, with last week's after credit sequence, which ended with sooner or later they'll meet the twins. And obviously later, because it had nothing to do with this movie. Now, this was interesting for me. This is the first one that actually didn't take place on planet Earth for the most part, right? What planet? We're on other planets somewhere.
Well, I don't remember the name. Morag is one of them. Nowhere is
Xandar.
So Joel, is the Guardians are relatively new to comic books?
Yes and no. This team that you see in the movie was put together
and behind Mark.
Yeah, yes, the team behind Mark was put together more recently. And we're dealing with an area of the Marvel universe that I'm not 100% knowledgeable about. I kind of have a working knowledge, but
this is past your childhood years.
Yeah, but there was a team of the Guardians of the Galaxy that existed before this one that I can't tell you the popularity. I can't even name characters. I can tell you that you will see them very briefly in the second film.
Wait, are they?
Yeah, Sylvester Stallone and all that whole group.
They're
part of the original Guardians of the Galaxy.
Oh, okay. Because I know the original ones. Okay.
Yeah.
So Mark, was that in your comic book days, the Guardians?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say during my part, is that I came into this as a newbie because when I saw Guardians of the Galaxy, I was like, who the hell are these people? This is not Guardians of the Galaxy. I was collecting probably like the early 90s is when I was collecting comic. And like Joel said, it was completely different cast of characters. And it didn't have the same feel. It was standard, straight, not really funny, go on a different mission every episode type of thing. Did not have this type of humor in it at all. So I was very, very pleased when I saw this.
But do you know if the comic books have this humor, or is this just something James Gunn made up?
I think James Gunn took his lead from the more current iteration of the comics and amped it up so that you had something that was going to be more adventurous, more humorous, and really engage the audience. Not that the comic books didn't, because this team was popular in the comics before the movie came along. The movie just, to badly use a pun, rocketed them through the stratosphere in their popularity. So
all right, so, and I've said this before, if you want to get in shape, get cast in a Marvel movie, because Chris Pratt went from doughy frat boy to hunk in 6 months.
Right.
And I'm sure they waited to shoot that scene with his shirt off till the very end when he was in his best shape.
No. You do that in the beginning because you can't work out like that when you're filming. They usually do the most, you're the most built, just like football, you're the best built as the season starts. Yeah.
Wow.
Okay, so there's like 42 main characters in this movie. I needed some Marvel play cards, playing cards to tell them apart, because there were so many characters. And Zoe Saldana must have loved the Avatar makeup, except here she's more Elphaba green than blue, that she was in that movie. Yeah. And she has an evil bitch of a sister. Are they really sisters or adopted? What's that?
Well, they're all Thanos' adopted children. So, he'd pick up, somebody from this planet and be like, all right, you're my kid now. I'm going to kill your parents in front of you. Bye.
Oh, how exciting. As
Yeah.
often happens in comic books, your parents get killed in front of you.
Right.
Or Disney movies.
Or Disney movies.
Oh.
That's all the same now. So,
Yeah.
Yes.
And here the Hulk is gray with red tattoos on him, and his name is Drax. And then there's the tree, that's Groot. And quite frankly, I don't understand why they're paying Vin Diesel, who only line is "I am Groot," and he says it 42 different ways.
Which I read the trivia. He recorded that line over 1,000 times, and he recorded it in all the different languages,
And
like
he-
in Russian and whatever, so they can use his voice.
Oh, wow.
And
Yeah.
he said, this is the most challenging thing to ask an actor to do. No, it's not.
No.
It's acting 101. If you've taken any acting class, one of the things you do is talk with your emotions and not with your words, right?
And you say
You
the
have to
same
do a
thing
whole
in all different ways.
yes, in all different emotions. So obviously Vin Diesel never took an acting lesson. And John C. McGinley, why is he here?
same reason
Yeah.
Glenn Close is.
And Glenn
Yeah.
Close?
So,
What was
you know,
that
a Marvel
about?
movie? I was in a Marvel movie just for the rights, just for
Yeah.
the bragging rights. I don't
I
know.
want to have fun.
And I think you mean
Yeah.
John C. Riley.
John C. McGinley.
No,
What's his
Riley.
name?
Riley.
Who's John McGinley?
John McGinley was from
From
Scrubs.
Scrubs.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Wrong,
John
wrong.
Riley.
Yeah, that guy.
That's right.
No,
John C.
no, no,
Riley.
no, 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 no.
No.
And Anthony said, was Cloris Leachman not available? She would have been much funnier than Glenn Close. And Bradley Cooper at least worked a few more days than Vin Diesel because he had a lot more lines.
But you can never tell that it's him. It just never sounds like
Great.
him.
Great
No.
voice, yeah.
Yeah.
And so he's a genetically engineered raccoon.
Don't
Rocket.
call him that.
Rocket the Raccoon, not Rocky Raccoon, which is a Beatles song,
Right.
a little different. And speaking of songs, the awesome mixtape
Yeah.
really is awesome. And it sold like 5 million copies or something. People loved hearing the 70s music. And for my little Star Lord, oh, my lip is trembling. But clear this up for me. In outer space, they have batteries. And he's been playing the
Huh?
same cassette tape for 26 years and it hasn't broken. Amy, do you have any tapes that are still intact in your car?
I do.
And they haven't spun out? Sometimes you have to use the pencil to tighten them.
Sure, sure.
Yeah.
If he can find batteries, I'm sure he can find a pencil. So
Yeah. All right. Are we to assume then that his not human dad is the one who had him kidnapped when the mother died, like picking him up after soccer practice, but with a spaceship? And then he puts him with these crazy ass foster parents.
the next movie,
Oh, that gets explained?
maybe.
Yeah.
All right. And last time I made fun that they gave the coordinates of the different latitude and longitude. Here they give the space coordinates, so all the nerds in space will know exactly where the planets are. That makes sense. And this made me laugh in the movie, and you know you did. Quill says to Gamora, I found something inside of myself. And you know, everybody said right after that, and now I'm going to put it inside of you. No,
Yeah,
you
I
didn't say that?
even think
I didn't say
Oh
that.
my God. That was the cheesiest line in the whole movie. I found something inside of myself.
Well, it was cheesy, but not everybody has the same gutter mind.
Yeah, not
Alright.
even me, Frank. That's
Yeah.
And this was the worst movie, absolute worst movie for, and we've said this before about them being stormtroopers and missing people. But this movie also had that James Bond thing where, let me tell you my plan before I kill you.
Right.
And nobody gets killed. It was like they kept missing everybody. And I'm like, there was so many occasions.
Frank's like, I can't even.
It was so many times where I'm like, just kill him. All right. And where do they get the matching outfits? I get Iron Man, one size fits all, okay. But where do you get a little yellow suit for a raccoon?
Or in the prison?
Prison.
The
Well,
prison,
did they stitch it up while he was waiting?
yeah, prison's gonna have something that works out that way. It's like, in Star Trek. They can make those uniforms for anybody at the drop of a hat.
Yeah, I mean,
Obviously.
I think also, especially if it's a prison filled with aliens, they've got all different sizes.
Yeah.
That's
I'm
going
sure
to
they
be
had a
some
group
inventory
size.
they have.
Yeah.
Well, some people have them sleeveless, some people have
Yeah.
them full sleeves, some people had
But a raccoon.
without a top.
Maybe they made it out of Drax's shirt since he didn't have one.
Right.
He didn't need a shirt. All right.
No.
And my last question, where does Quill get the extra exact looking space orb to switch them?
Yeah.
Come on.
Oh, she had given them
She
to
had-
all of the Ravagers and said, if you get it, put it in this. And she
Yeah.
passed out all these orbs.
Did I miss that?
Yeah,
Where
they
was
had like 10
I?
of them. They each had one. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Where was that? And I've seen it twice.
In the planning scene.
Never
Oh,
saw
wow.
that. All right, so I saw it. This is the second time I saw it, and I definitely did pick up on other things that I didn't really pick up on the first time. But obviously, I didn't know they gave out orbs to everybody. Didn't see.
They gave them out in the theater too when you went to see it in the movie. Your
And
popcorn
so-
came.
But I really thought there's a lot to love in this movie. Groot dying was sad, and then them all uniting and holding hands was awe-inspiring. That was great. And all the Guardians really were well-defined and well-written. I liked them all. And Chris Pratt, of course, was the most likable goofball. I mean, that really was the most fun of it, was him with the dancing and the songs and falling and all of that. That was very fun. And it was like, I really felt this movie was like a very weirdly MCU movie because, these are like a bunch of misfits. It's not like Captain America's upstanding and Iron Man, and even Thor, he's a god. But these seemed like misfits, like they're a bunch
Absolutely.
of. I'm sorry?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. So they weren't that kind of upstanding kind of superhero, but it really was very funny. And Lee Pace, who I love, it could have been anybody. I don't know. There was like one moment where like, oh yeah, that is him. I didn't even know he was in the movie until I read the credits the first time, because I was like, I have no idea who this is. So I really did enjoy it. But I'm going to give it 3 stars because I'm not quite. There were just too many moments of really. Aim, what do you think?
I didn't remember anything from the first time I saw it in the theater except Groot at the end, Groot dancing, and the mixtape. So I was very excited to watch it. And then as I was watching it, I was thinking, and this really is a movie anybody could just walk into and not know what's going on at all with MCU, which is why I probably loved it the first time. And I didn't really see anything that made me connect this to MCU except Thanos, which I don't really know anything about anyway. So
Well, I mean, here we're on the way with the Infinity Stones. So this is
Okay,
just
yeah,
one more.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'll give you that. And that was really good. I mean, I really, really liked it. It's just because I always go for the funny. So, but I thought I would give it more stars. I'm doing like 3.25 to 3.5. I haven't decided yet. I really liked it, but I didn't feel as overwhelmed as I did with, I think, Thor or whichever one I really liked, Captain America.
Winter
know.
Soldier, yeah. Yeah. I mean, the action was fun. There's just, and right, it didn't quite feel connected to the other movies, but
I think a part of my, sorry to interrupt, but I think a part of my problem was, and I don't mean to be like all complaining, but I was so tired when I was watching this today. And then, like you said, there are so many characters. You know how I am with so many characters. I'm like, wait, who is this again? And I go to my little IMDb thing and say, oh, okay. I scroll around and say, oh, that's who that was. Because I would just have no memory for that. And with so many people, it was a little rough to follow. Not to follow the story, but.
You're gonna have a hard time when we finally get to Captain Marvel.
so Joel,
Yes.
wasn't I think I read somewhere that Captain Marvel was actually one of the Guardians of the Galaxy. Is that true?
Not the Carol Danvers version that's in the
Oh,
movie.
not. There was
It's
another
a
one
different
called
version
Captain
of Carol Danvers is actually like the 6th person in the Marvel universe to have that name.
Oh, okay.
Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
All right, so Joel, what are your thoughts now?
It's, I like the film. It's a lot of fun. It's entertaining. It's got the action it needs. It's got the humor it needs. It's perfectly cast. I'll disagree with the thing about Lee Pace. I think that even though you don't recognize him, I think that's part of who he is, because he's playing completely against type that you've seen him in most other
Yes,
things.
yeah, and he's doing this voice.
Right, but he's doing
And I
it.
hate that voice.
Oh, for a character like Ronan, it doesn't work for Batman. It's to me, it's silly. But for a character like Ronan, who is this alien
Yes,
emperor,
of course he needs
it
that
works well.
gravitas. I get that.
Yeah.
But then hire someone who can do it.
I thought he did it perfectly
I
fine,
thought
but
he did
I
fine.
I
But
think he felt wasted to me because, yes, and for Joel, for all of the things I've seen him in, and he's so good at comedy,
yeah,
he had none of it. He was just.
It was
very-
better than Malekith and the Dark Elves.
yes. Anything
From
is
Thor,
better.
The Dark World,
Yes.
2 weeks
Anybody-
ago.
Anybody remember
Okay.
that?
Yes.
I
I thought you
remember
were saying
that.
Lee. I thought you were saying Lee Pace was in that. I'm like, he was?
Eccleston.
Did everybody catch the dark elf in the collector's cages?
No, there was too much going on.
Wow.
It's fun to go back.
I'm sure there
and-
were a lot of Easter eggs in that.
Oh, there's a lot of Easter eggs in there, but there's
Yeah.
definitely the dark elf is easy to see because they're standing in front of that cage for so long at one point. So,
Yeah,
but
I did-
it's a fun film. I'm gonna give it 3.5. I like it. I can sit down and do laundry while it's on in the background and still have fun watching.
yeah, no,
it,
I
paying
definitely thought
attention and-
fun, fast moving.
Yeah.
But a lot of information.
but it's important in that it also sets up this area of the Marvel universe out in space, which is going to become more and more important as the movies go on, with Guardians of the Galaxy 2 and Captain Marvel and the last 2 Avengers films, and it's going to get revisited as time goes on because there's a 3rd Guardians of the Galaxy movie coming and other stuff in that area of space. So
Well, the thing I love, and then they definitely had to plan, was this whole five Infinity Stones. There's 5, right?
6.
7?
6.
6.
I thought they all fit on one hand.
Yeah, and then there's the one in the center.
So that whole thing had to be planned. At some point they went, oh, we can do a whole story arc for all 23 movies. Let's go.
It's obvious that they started planning it around the time of the Avengers, but not around the time of Thor, because if you look in Odin's dungeon basement with all the artifacts, the Infinity Gauntlet is down there.
Oh, funny.
So, and that actually gets addressed later on.
All
So,
right, so Mark?
I'm going 3.5 stars too. Just like you guys said, I think it's hi Gracie. It's a fun, silly movie with a fantastic soundtrack, and it had all the laughs that were needed. And just like Amy said, I'm a sucker for the comedy too. And I think, personally, I think it contains one of the greatest lines in cinematic history. He said that he may be an a-hole, but he's not, and I quote, 100% a dick. I mean, I had to rewind it 3 times. That's the other thing. Coming into this, I've probably seen it twice already, but not knowing the characters and so forth, I didn't really remember a lot of it. In fact, as the rewatchers know, the whole Nowhere, the planet or the area that they were on where the collector was, I didn't remember that's where they were, because that does come up again in the future.
Nowhere.
Nowhere, yeah.
And
So
it's KNOWH.
mhm. And yeah, I
Amy,
just thought
just so you know.
I thought it did move the story along in regard to the bringing in a 3rd Infinity Stone. Now that anyone who was watching this that didn't know, now they're probably saying, hold on, what are they really doing here? So
Yeah,
that's it for
well,
me.
I've actually seen Infinity War and Endgame, so I know how that all comes into play now. So it was interesting seeing it.
And I had forgotten about Nowhere in this movie. So then knowing that what they know and how to get back there, that makes more sense for me for Infinity War, as you said.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, Annie?
Yeah, no, I really enjoyed this. It's a 3.5 for me. And just like everyone else said, you know, it's got the humor. I'm also like huge in pop culture, so all the references that I get, you know, so it may not be as fun for someone who don't know the pop culture, but the Giving Tree, the Ark of the Covenant, the, you
Oh,
know,
yeah,
just
yeah.
stuff like that, just all the references that I love, you know, and the music, the music was so great.
Oh my God.
I also, you know, said like, yeah, I also said like, these are all misfits and, you know, they band together. And then there's that huge Henry IV speech, you know, like we go tonight into, you know, like into battle kind of thing when he's like, who's with me, you know, we'll probably die. So of course, any great battle movie has to have that speech.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And I sorry.
Go
I was
ahead.
just gonna say I read in the trivia or I watched the extras, and it said that James Gunn's brother, who was playing the physical part of Rocket Raccoon, so basically crouching around and walking on all fours, when during that scene with the circle, he said he ad-libbed the whole a couple of jerks standing in a circle. Look at us, whatever it was, and I thought that was great that made it into the movie. But you're
It was
right,
like
that whole scene was good.
It was a circle jerk, is what
He
you said?
didn't say jerk because I even thought to myself, oh, it would have been funny if he had said a bunch of jerks standing in a circle. He said something different that made me think that.
Okay, I thought it was whatever it was that he said. Look at us all standing around in a circle.
Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and so this is funny because I know on one of the movies, I was like, Joss Whedon needs to direct all of these. And now we find out he's a real asshole. And then now I'm going to compliment James Gunn. And now everybody, you know, they fired him from the third movie, right? Because
He's back. They rehired him. They knew that the stuff that he had done was old tweets that he had apologized for years ago. So,
and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah.
But obviously in this case, Chris Pratt was like, no, we're hiring him back. It's being ridiculous now.
Yeah.
Which it is. But we'll see what Joss Whedon's gonna, what the implications are gonna be there.
Well,
He's never working again.
After the next movie, we don't deal with Joss Whedon on Marvel movies anyway. So he goes to screw up the DC universe.
When they showed, go ahead, Anya. Sorry, you didn't finish. Go ahead.
Oh no, I just had like, you know, we all suspend our belief whenever there's a, you know, when it's a superhero movie. But the funniest thing to me was like when she said, and your spaceship is filthy, and he says like, oh, she doesn't even know if there was black light here, this place would light up like a Jackson Pollock movie. I was like, who else is gonna understand that?
Right.
And
right.
but he was like 10 or 12 in 1988 and he left the earth. How does he know Jackson Pollock? Come on.
Chris Pratt ad-libbed that line. That was completely ad-libbed.
Yeah, it sounded
not surprising.
Great line.
All right, so post credits. Anybody have anything else on this movie?
I just feel like when you mentioned the coordinates before, and I could be wrong because I'm watching on probably a much smaller TV than any of you, but when they showed the coordinates to some spaceship, I swear on the bottom line, it said something sinister, like they had sneaked in actual words there as opposed to coordinates. I was wondering if I thought I saw that or if anybody else noticed it.
No, but I did notice there were a lot of funny bits when they were in the lineup, the police lineup, and they had their little blurbs of names.
Yeah.
Because I would stop it and read exactly what it said. So some of it was funny stuff. I don't remember what. All right, so next, the post-credit sequence, we have Groot dancing to the Jackson 5, just cuteness, right? And then at the end, we get Howard the Duck, who I assume is a genetically engineered duck. Yes?
He was in one of the collector's boxes as well the whole time.
Like Rocket the Raccoon, right, Joel?
Not exactly. Howard explaining Howard the Duck is really, unless they eventually do something else with him, I don't know that it's worth the time. Other than
Okay.
to say, he was a very popular comic book character in the late 70s.
And a big
And-
bombola of a movie.
And then he
Yeah.
became a really, but honestly, I've seen the movie a number of times. It's such a bad movie that it's
Of
fun to
course
watch.
you did.
Yeah, of course I did.
you did.
It's
Not a surprise. Yeah.
it's one of those, it's so bad it's funny, and you got to have friends who are drunk to watch it with, because it's
Well,
that kind of
I
movie.
obviously,
Annie?
I honestly would not know it was Howard the Duck, except it said it right after it. So,
Oh,
Well, yeah.
no, that was Howard the Dog.
no, I would not have known that.
Well, they had to plaster the credits for the character because they used him in the movie,
Yeah,
and they didn't want to
yeah.
do it in the credits for the movie because
Yeah,
that
of
would give
course.
away the joke at the end.
Yes, no, I
Um,
get that, but I did see it said right after that, Howard
Yeah.
the Duck.
Yeah.
Or-
But I guess I remember what he looked like from the movie.
Yeah, me too. Me too, Amy.
Well, this Howard the Duck looks very different from the Howard the Duck in the movie. So because
But he was still smoking a cigar.
It's still smoking a cigar and being a jackass because that's what he's good at. But
And
you
also
know,
what Joel's good at.
exactly. Why don't smoke cigars?
And we go around to the front of the.
Right.
Yes.
Thank you all. Next week, we have Avengers Age of Ultron, which I assume is the end of phase 2.
Nope.
No,
Nope.
why would we end with the Avengers?
Ant-Man, the movie after it, is the official end of phase 2. Just like the official end of phase 3 is not Endgame, it's Far From Home.
Well, that makes no sense whatsoever. We should
I
would
end
agree,
on
but
I
Avengers.
agree.
Yeah.
All right,
And Frank, you mentioned the twins, so I'm not really giving anything away, but the twins will be in this movie next week.
in Age
Oh,
of
good.
Ultron.
And our
Yes.
timing works out nicely because with WandaVision just ending this past weekend,
And here's the
tying
beginning of
back
Wanda.
into the beginning again.
Right.
And here's the beginning of Wanda.
Yep.
All right. Thank you all for being here. Good night.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye, guys. Have a good
Bye.
night.
Bye.